age. He has been amazing about opening up the doors to the law school, to the community, and as always, this is the electric law school, which has always been pushing for social justice. So when I talked to them about doing this here, they were like, absolutely. So thank you so much. We're going to just get started. I'm going to begin by introducing the director, the wonderful Clinton Lacy, the director of the District of Columbia's Rehabilitation Services Juvenile Justice Agency, who is 9 degrees and a fearless power. And I say fearless because it takes courage to force the system to change and to take the risk. And so for that, I commend you. I will be very brief. A long time. You've been working for a long time. Before joining the department, he has more than 25 years of experience working with youth and family, focused in the field of juvenile criminal justice. While he was project manager at the William Haywood Burns Institute, he worked with several jurisdictions around the nation to engage them in the process of addressing racial disparities in local juvenile justice systems. As the director of the youth program at the Vera Institute, he also oversaw the technical assistance of New York State's juvenile justice, so he is close home, but not home. He is also an experienced trainer, facilitator, and speaker on issues of racial disparity, ethnic disparity, and transitional discharge planning, and comprehensive reentry services, early intervention, and strategies. I also want to tell you why this is especially excited about being able to do this today. 3 days ago, we got great news. The state of New Jersey just approved closing 2 of our juvenile facilities that have been Jamesburg and Bordentown, that have been around since the Civil War. This charge was led by the Institute for Social Justice in New Jersey and Community and institutions like Dr. Behind. It is proof that everyday protesting is still powerful in this country, and that we should get behind things that make sense. We should continue to do things that make sense. I will now introduce Antonio Fernandez, and this is a homecoming for him. And it's very special for me. I got a call saying, "Oh, I'm coming to see you in court." I was like, "But I'm not there anymore." I realized how much I miss Antonio. This is a homecoming for him and for us because he was very instrumental in our Hotspots initiative. I saw Tony and worked very close with him in court and saw how he was able to literally get young men not only to report to court, but to report services and do what it was they were supposed to do, and actually just change lives. So it's been great to kind of see Tony blossom into this powerful being. He is also the CEO of Grow Up and Grow Out, an organization that supports young people on the path to self-transformation and community building. He's also known as the former head of the Latin Kings.
Oh, God.
I just had to say it, because you might not know that. But what was impactful about what he did there was when he tried to turn the organization into a social organization. And again, we're talking about courage to change people's thinking. One of my favorite books, he's been featured in 2 books, and the one that I'm reading right now is, it's a chapter, right? You co-wrote a chapter. Misfit Economy, Lessons in Creativity from Pirates, Hackers, Gangsters, and Other Informal Entrepreneurs. And this has led to him training Fortune 500 leaders. Talk about redemption, about this underground economy. So we're also going to have some additional people up here, but what we're going to start with is this video on incredible messengers. I would like this to be kind of a lively discussion. People from the audience will be talking, because we also have social service providers here who are from D.C. who work with incredible messengers. We have messengers as well as representatives from the city of New York, prosecutor's office. Yeah, how do I know that? Yeah, we have professors and we have like leaders here as well. Anybody want to cue this video of what we're going to see?
How long is it? They said you
You said this when you said it.
All right, the Credible Messenger video is going to show you some aspects of the field work we're doing. After you see the video, we got participants of each each embodied power we gave to deal with the wraparound services. So that's what you'll see, what they do in the street, how they deal with the kids, and then we'll get more in depth into that. Is
it all right?
That's what I like.
Maybe we'll give a little context for what we're going to see, and then that'll sort of illustrate, give you a visual of what it is that we're talking about. That's okay?
Yes.
Good. So thank you so much again. It's a real pleasure to be here, be able to share this time and space with everybody. And we're really thrilled to have the opportunity to bring our family up here. And when I use the word family, I use it on purpose, not to be cute, right? And not to try to communicate something that's not true, right? But it's something that's a work in progress. It's something that we aim for, that we strive for on a daily basis. And so when we say family, we're talking about people who care about one another and who love the same thing, our young people in our communities. And so we're a diverse group, we're a diverse family. We're people who work for the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services, which is D.C.'s juvenile correctional agency. We're talking about community providers who work with families, who have their own nonprofit organizations. We're talking about credible messengers, many of whom are formerly incarcerated, who have lived and experienced and have shared some of the same things in their lives that our young people and families are going through today. We're talking about educators. We're talking about people who work on the front lines in our locked facilities. We're talking about a diverse group of people from the District of Columbia who are coming together under this idea of credible messenger. But I think the higher idea that really is the glue and the inspiration for all of our work is reimagining what justice is and what justice can be and what can it mean, particularly for the most vulnerable, the most marginalized people and communities in our society, our young black and brown brothers and sisters and their families who are struggling against poverty and institutionalized racism and substance abuse and educational neglect and housing issues and the whole laundry list of issues that face the communities where our young people come from, who fill up the juvenile system, and in fact where the adults come from who fill up the prisons of this country. And so we're reimagining what justice could be from the history of unfair treatment, of disparities, of racism, of really marginalizing and breaking people without offering them a real opportunity to enter society and be part of society in a positive way. We think that we can recreate justice to be something very different. Martin Luther King said that justice itself, true justice, is an act of love in public policy. And so what we're saying is everything we do in our organization, our agency, and our work is based on love. And that we must love our young people, love our communities, and love each other as we do the work if we're going to be successful. But the question then, if we use those words to make it not just rhetoric or just nice sounding words, is what does love look like? And so that's the question that we ask ourselves on a daily basis, and we seek to answer those questions. What does love look like in our policy, in our practice, in our programs? How does it translate into the daily experience of our young people who come touch the system, who come into our facilities? What does it look like to the families that we touch? And so our greater ambition and goal is to imagine and create a justice system and a process that truly loves, that seeks to heal and empower the people who for so long the system has continued to marginalize and continue to essentially dehumanize. And so we're going to talk a bit about Credible Messenger program itself and what it means and how it operates. And the film that we're going to see, the brief film, is about showing some clips of our actual experience in D.C. Before we show that, I just wanted to give a little bit of context, and I guess the best way for me to do it is just to give you a very, very brief sort of walk through what brought me to this work and what brought me to D.C. and how it has evolved and how we have come together to make Credible Messenger what it is in D.C. And as we're connected also with our brothers and sisters who are around the country, we have some very powerful and important people with us from Ohio, from California, who have been doing this work for many years. And so the work of Credible Messenger really is essentially that we connect with, we uplift, we empower the people who have the credibility to bring the message to the people who need to hear the message. People who have been marginalized, who have essentially been blamed for the problem, who have been left out of the conversation about engaging young people and families. That's who we have directly sought out, build relationships with, partnered with to engage our young people. So many of the people who are here, many of our Credible Messengers can't even join one of the, our average mentoring programs in this country because of their felony record. They're not even allowed in the door. They're not part of the conversation. They're not allowed to even visit facilities where their loved ones are often. But we've confronted that directly. And in fact, we realize that these are among the natural leaders in our community who have the best opportunity and who are the most gifted and the most passionate about reaching and engaging and helping to heal our young people. As was shared, prior to coming to D.C., I was at the probation department for about 4 years. And prior to that, I started out working at Rikers Island with young people leaving Rikers Island back in the 90s. And it was clear to me back then, watching where the young people came from and where they were returning, that the answer had to be in the community. The answer wasn't at Rikers Island. The answer isn't inside of our facilities. The answer has to be where people live. And so if we are serious about engaging and supporting and healing and rehabilitating, if we want to use that word, our young people, then we have to do it where they live. Like there is no viable program. We're not going to airlift thousands of young people out of their communities and put them somewhere else, as some think we need to do. Some people say, well, we could just get them out of the neighborhood. But that can't be the solution. The solution has to be healing the neighborhood, healing the village, empowering the village to be part of the solution. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to do a lot of work that was centered around working with community partners, working with the voices, hearing the voices of people who are rarely ever heard in these conversations, bringing community voices to the table with judges, with prosecutors, with defense attorneys, with probation chiefs, to be part of the conversation of figuring out how can we really engage and empower our young people. And so it was through that through through faith or through, for those, depending on your spiritual orientation, if you don't have one, is it an act of God, is it faith, but through some way I ended up for probation with no prior experience in probation or in law enforcement or in government, but came to that department and was able to, as the deputy commissioner, and we were able to imagine how could we turn things around? How could we stop using probation just as a place to monitor people, just to surveil them, just to watch them and wait for them to make a mistake and then lock them up again? How could we turn that around and redefine our role, change our identity to be one which we saw ourselves as the guardians of the gates, that we weren't going to let anybody go any further into the system, that we were going to do everything in our power to ensure that they had the opportunity and the resources and the support and the love that they needed so they wouldn't have to penetrate further into the system. And so that was the struggle in New York, to redefine what probation could be, that we could be the last stop for people on the railway, the pathway into the system. And so we were fortunate enough that we, during this time when Bloomberg was mayor, a billionaire mayor, got together with another billionaire philanthropist, George Soros, and started the Young Men's Initiative. And the Young Men's Initiative is really the forerunner to My Brother's Keeper. And through that initiative at probation, we were able to take that funding and start to create innovative programming to engage the people who were under our supervision, who were on probation, who were in the system, on the verge of going further into the system. And so that's when we conceived of this idea of what we now call Credible Messenger. That we would go to the communities where our young people live. In New York, it was 7 neighborhoods, the same 7 that it's been for the last 30 years, right? Except for gentrification, it's kind of changed it a bit, right? But it was the South Bronx, East New York, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, South Jamaica, Queens, Harlem, you know, at that time, Lower East Side, which is now gentrified, right? And some of the city has changed, but it was the same neighborhoods where we knew. In Newark, we know where the neighborhoods are. In D.C., we know where the neighborhoods are. In Ohio, in L.A., everywhere we go, we know where the neighborhoods are that are suffering the most in terms of disparities, in terms of lack of resources, and are leading the population of people going into the system. So in New York, we targeted those neighborhoods. And what we knew that we needed to do was to empower the people on the ground in those neighborhoods who had to be part of the solution. This idea wasn't new. It wasn't my idea. I didn't create Credible Messenger. There have been people on the ground forever trying to connect, trying to support vulnerable young people and families, particularly people who have spent time in prison or who have overcome substance abuse or who were involved in so-called gangs or what have you. They've been out there forever, and they're out there now, everywhere. What we did was we saw them, we acknowledged them, we realized that the system is not equipped and will never be equipped to solve the problem and to rehabilitate people unless we connect with the community partners. And so we sought them out and we conceived of a program where they could be the mentors to our young people because they had the credibility to bring the message, to form trusting relationships, which is the currency in this entire body of work. Without trusting relationships, we have nothing but words and orders and directives and mandates and failure. But with trusting relationships, we have the opportunity for people to grow, to believe that they can live to be past 21, that they can be successful, that what they thought they wanted to be when they were 7, 8, and 9 years old could actually be a reality. That what they saw around them wasn't the sum total of their opportunity, that more could be available for them. And so that was the very basis of our program that we started in New York. And so we ended up contracting 20 organizations and gave grants to local grassroots organizations and work with them to recruit and hire and train credible messengers to engage our young people on probation, to begin to help them think differently about themselves, think differently about their families, about their communities, and what is possible for them, to start defining themselves as not just as delinquents or offenders or defendants or the other language that's been used for them or the number that they received in jail, but to think of themselves as young people, not just with the opportunity to stay out of trouble, but young people with the opportunity to be leaders in their own communities. And so through Credible Messenger, long story short, the study has just come out, an evaluation of it, and it showed that 60%, there was a 60% reduction in recidivism for the 16 to 24-year-olds who participated in that program in New York. Long story short, opportunity came available in D.C. for the leadership of DYRS. Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services in D.C. is the department that runs the local detention center. We're not probation. We're the deep end of the system. And then we also run a deep end facility. I hear Jamesburg and others are just closed or going to close. So we are that department. What's it called here in Jersey? The deep end authority, youth authority.
What are youth detention centers? Yes.
Right, so we are that, but we also run local detention. Right. So that's who we are. We have 2 locked facilities, and we have the responsibility when the court commits young people to our custody. We are responsible for the quote-unquote rehabilitation. When I came to D.C., I came, in New York, I was Deputy Commissioner of Probation and for adult operations, which in New York starts at age 16. So most of the people on our caseloads were 16 to 24-year-old anyway, quote-unquote adults. Coming to D.C., working with the young people there, I knew that this basic idea of love as public policy, putting it into our practice, demonstrating it, practicing it as a value, and as a way of engaging people in terms of respect, compassion, giving young people what you would want your own children to be.
Absolutely.
Right? Those values, that's what we had to do. And I also knew that many of the people in this room and those who they represent, who I hadn't met yet, I knew they were there. They're everywhere. And it was our job to uplift, construct a program where we could go out and find and recruit and engage and embrace people who have been fighting the fight for years. But to bring to them the resources where they could be who they are and do what they do. So that's essentially what DYRS has done. What we've acknowledged is that we really alone can't rehabilitate, right? We alone can't provide the healing that must be provided. That the only way we could do it is to invest in the capacity of the people in the village. Invest in the village. And so justice systems, still to this day, by and large, even those who are reforming and becoming kinder and gentler and less punitive and implementing best practices and using cognitive behavioral therapeutic interventions and family functional therapy and MST and all these things that they're bringing and being more scientific and research-based, they still see themselves as the place and the source of the answer and the treatment and the solution. And they invest in their own wherewithal. They invest in their expertise, but they don't invest in the village. What we're saying is that as we invest in our staff, and we love our staff, and we invest in their training and development, and they do excellent work, but we understand that they are the partners with community members as well. So Credible Messenger is our way of investing in the expertise, the wherewithal, the resources of the community, where our young people are going, where they're going to be, and where they ultimately will heal and grow and develop. And so our Credible Messengers work alongside our case managers who are responsible for community supervision, and they form a team, and they go out there and surround the young people. And what we've added, and I'll be quiet at this point, but what we've added is the mentoring for our young people has expanded. Now, we mentor the whole family.
Absolutely.
So our providers who we provide grants to, they have a team of Credible Messengers, and they're in this room, representatives of this room. And that team of Credible Messengers, they work with the young person who's committed to us. They work with mom, grandma, uncle, whoever the adult caregiver is in that home. They embrace them, like spend hours with them. And we have people who are going to talk about that. And we have Credible Messengers who spend most of their time just with the support of adults to help build their capacity. And that's our level of investment that we think is required to be successful. Because we know that it takes love, it takes care, it takes compassion, it takes investment. We're not here to correct people. We're not here to fix people. You know, real talk, we're really not here to rehabilitate them. We're here to support their growth and development and their healing. And through that process, habilitation and rehabilitation will take place. This is a movement that's growing. It's in New York. New York State has embraced it. San Diego has launched a program, and others, where it's not just Credible Messengers out there struggling the way they've been for years, but now the system is investing into them and bringing them to the table, bringing them to the court, bringing them to the agencies to be part of this process. And that's what Credible Messenger really is all about. It's more than a program, it's more than an initiative, it's a movement. And so we are so grateful to have the opportunity to come here, to share with you all, and to continue to build and learn from one another, because that's what we do. And continue to reimagine a new justice system. We think it's particularly important, more important than ever in these days, given the government, given the White House, given the Attorney General, given the rollback of all the progressive things that President Obama did to try to decriminalize people and communities. So that's what we're facing now. I mean, this is the fight of our lives, really. And so we're fighting for our young people, for our families, and for our communities. I'm going to pass it on to Tone. Or we'll see the film before Tone will go. I just want to say that very quickly that, you know, I had the opportunity to meet Tone back when I was in New York, when he was working with young brothers and sisters involved in street organizations in Brooklyn. And we did some amazing work together, which you know, we can share those stories, you know, at another time. But just to say that, and I happened to run into him on the street in D.C. when I got down to D.C. That's like, he was like, I live in Maryland now, or Virginia. I'm like, what? And I was like, man, I need you to come come be with us, come help us with what we're trying to do. And so together, he and all of us have walked together, informing one another, changing one another. The last thing I'll say, I promise this time, is that we're doing an evaluation at John Jay University, and we're doing a film on the initiative. So the filmmaker said, what is this film about, right? And I said, well, we don't want a commercial, right? We want a documentary that shows the struggle, right? The growth, the learning, the change, the transformation. It's like transformation of who? The young people? Yeah, the transformation of the young people for sure, and the families. But this is about transformation for all of us, right? Because it's not just our young people who need to change and need to heal. So this is healing for the credible messengers who are now working full-time for organizations doing this work. But even more than that, which isn't often talked about, this is transformation for the system. Because the system is sick too. The system is diseased. The system needs healing. And by walking together with our brothers and sisters from the community, it's changing us. It's changing the way my case managers do their work. Because now they're walking with the credible messenger. It's changing their perspective, their lens, their value system. And so this is healthy for all of us. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about it, it's transformation for all of us.
Judge Pratt, you expect me to say all that he said?
I heard the director say there's some other stories. He's
Yeah, we're
committed to
gonna-
coming back.
Yes.
This is not their last trip. I heard that. Did anybody else hear that? There's some other stories for the next trip. Would you like me to start? I'll do the video.
Start
And
the
then
video, then I'll let some of the stars of the show talk.
In D.C., there's so much that go on. Watching the news, there's so much that go on. And you're trying to figure out, how could you help?
Once I found myself, we made. So what happens is I explain to the credible messengers throughout different trainings and things that we do, because trust me, we go through tons and tons and tons of trainings. I'm talking about we start off with a boot camp. That's a week. 8 hours a day, the whole week of training. People coming in from all over, training on different things. You know, we have extensive where we go through and look at everybody's history to make sure, you know, that they can pass child and family services and things like that, don't have anything in their record like that. And then we start beginning to work with them and train them and things like that. So it's a beautiful thing. And that was one of my buy-ins. That was one of my buy-ins. At one time it was a buy-in, now it's an ownership. I am a credible messenger, right? And that's because when you look at everything from the whole spectrum, right? And as we say, what does love look like? And the answer is in the community, right? We are the community. So what I do, I kind of tread that line right there because I'm going to be the one. I let the credible messenger know. I'm going to be the one that come knocking on your door, let you know, look, brother, no more. Because you can't use what we do as a cover-up for whatever it is you're doing. You have to come over here and you got to come wholeheartedly. And if you're not going to come wholeheartedly, then you don't come over here. This is sacred, what we doing with these families and with the youth and the things that we doing. This is sacred work. If you want to hide, go get your detail shop. Go find you something else you can get into and hide whatever it is you into. But don't come over here because what we doing is sacred, you know? So that's one of the things that I do through the vetting process. Also, I do different type of trainings on different type of techniques. I sit down, I do one-on-ones. As Director Clinton Lacy was saying, we spend time even with the credible messaging adults where I go out and I may shadow their work sometimes, see what the relationship look like, look at the interactions and things like that, and I may rate them and we may talk about some things that they can do better, you know, things like that. So credible messengers is not just a job, it's not just, you know, now it's a movement. It's considered a movement. And as I said to them when they hired me, I'm movement driven. You know, it's not I don't want this clock in, not to talk about, you know, anybody that do clock in, but I'm trying to work around the clock. I'm trying to have that passion and really make something happen where I can see some results in our people.
Thank you. Princess, could you say a little and
Sure. Good afternoon, thank you all for having us here. My name is Princess Whitaker Taylor, and my role or my assignment, because I don't like see it as work, I see it as an assignment, is to love on the families. And so without the credible messengers, working with some of the struggles that parents have with their children, I wouldn't even be able to access the moms, the dads, the grandmothers who are raising the children. So thank you for that. The families are sometimes, the adults in the families are more wounded than the children sometimes. And until you can make an environment for them to really start to deal with that, we can't move them to a different place or help them transform. So our major assignment is to really love on the families, to show them their strengths, to show them their resilience, and not really just talk about it, but really show them and give them a real non-judgmental place to deal with their stuff that they haven't dealt with.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Rasheeda George, and I'm the Restorative Justice Coordinator for DYRS. And as Professor Lacy said, we're not just focused on rehabilitation, right? When we talk about restoring and restoration, we're talking about harm and how we get someone to being as whole as they can possibly be, right? And so in working with Princess, Family Engagement, our credible messengers, and Tony and I have been working more closely recently in talking with our young people and their families as they re-enter back into the community and working closely with their credible messengers. What's really going on? What's the pain? Where are you hurting? How can we help you to face that and deal with it, right? And so restorative justice at DYRS is really focusing on that balanced approach of I've created some harm in my home or into the community, right? And okay, I'm sorry, but how do we move on from there? And how do we help heal these relationships that these young people have, whether it's school, home, the community, with their friends? The things that the path they have to walk through every day. Sometimes they just create harm and people harm them. So it's not being stuck in that place, it's moving towards being more whole and using the process and the practices to get them there.
Thank you. Real quick, so you see some parts where our kids were in the two facilities where they could get detained and they go through a program. And if you don't got a reentry program that's real, you got a problem. If a kid could do 3 years and you say that the prison wasn't his home, so you won't give him an address to get a social security, and you make me stop in a 6-month hold, because that's what it takes me to get that paper. And I got 3 weeks to save him from getting a gun. And you making me get a social security that takes me sometimes 3 months, because I can't employ him without it. 3 years in a state system and they couldn't get him a social security under their address, that's where I'm living. So they put the kid in a hole before he come out.
Yes, they do.
They know he coming back because they kept everything from him that he needed not to.
Say it, Tom.
So then that's when my man Norman Brown, so Norman Brown is he's the director of Grow Up. He's my reentry specialist. He's got a special story to show up, but he and me, we go into the facilities Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. We start nurturing the mind of the children with our YC and DYs. You're going to talk to them. We no longer got what you call turnkeys. They have to do circles. They have to deal with it. If you come in here to count like they potatoes and retire off these kids, get out of DYRS. We don't need you.
Say it.
You ain't counting our kids. You're going to raise them because they're alone right now until their parents can make it back. That's what we do in ours. So this is where Norman Brown and me teach them about credible messenger. We start putting in their brain, brainwashing them, showing them us act different. So when they get out and the credible messenger comes, I do what we used to do in the street, right? I go, yo, Waleed's my man, you could trust him. Oh, what? You could go to anybody in this team. Remember, I took care of you. I fed you in your jail. I brought your Christmas bag. I cried with you. I stood in your visits. I'm going to hand you off to him. I can't take you no more. Fly the nest. He's going to take you to your big brother. Imagine that when you got a big brother waiting for you at the gate. You're not dropped off at City Hall with $3 in a bag. I seen it. I used to pick him up. And they used to come to Judge Pratt to her court, a judge for help. Where do I go? So, Mr. Norman Brown, could you share what we do in the facility?
Yes, good afternoon. Normally what we do is we go into facilities. This is where you normally have a chance to get someone to get a grip and focus on themselves. So the uniqueness about going and being in prison of myself, just like Tone just said, I like to sometimes sit down and not say nothing, but they tend to keep uncovering. I just finished doing 24 and a half years. President Obama gave me clemency in 2015. So therefore, thank you. So therefore, coming fresh out of prison and understanding from putting programs together in the BOP, and then to come out and have the honors to work with Director Lacy and Tone and the credible messages in DYRS, we understand, and I understand where I got my balance at, where I was able to find my worth and to find my gifts and some of my gifts. So what we do is we go inside the institution, we apologize to them for getting caught in a trap that was set for us generationally, and we go in, we apologize, we say we're sorry, we don't come in, and we don't go in blaming. So in the process, when we go in there, we're able to catch you, we share our stories, because they think it's a rite of passage to go to prison, because it's a culture in our neighborhood and in our environment, so we have to deprogram them for that. Like Tone said, actually brainwash their brains as ours was washed, and we tend to build a rapport with them. We know what it's like to be away from home. We know what it's like not to have no visits. We know what it's not to get no mail, wait no mail call. So all these things we can relate to them with, and once we can get them to let their guards down and trust us, then we begin to love on them, like Director Lacy says. We nurture them, we hear them. Sometimes we don't hold circles because we do one-on-ones. Sometimes people don't want everybody in their business. So understanding that I didn't want everybody in my business, I understand that they don't either. So me and Tone strategically pick them off, share with them, deal with them, and then we hand them off to the credible messengers. We see them down at the center. We smile with them. When they get off balance, we ask them, do you remember? And they hurry up and say, yeah, we remember. Do you want to go back? We don't want to see you there no more. And these are some of the things that we do. We love on them. And we know that love is an action word. We know that we all need it. So therefore, we try to express it. Thank you.
I just want you to see that we're not just giving spots and telling you that we're restorative justice and, and then we fake it and we take you to meet 3 people and I got a big office with 100 desks and they're all shining, but ain't a damn kid in the building. You come to our centers. We serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 6:30, they leave full. So if they're homeless, we send them with food. And we know we're going to pray to tomorrow because we tell them we got food for you again. We got a pool table. You play ping pong while you're waiting for your instructor. We let them play like kids again. We don't go pull up your pants. Oppression leads to aggression that leads to violence. You're always trying to save them when they're already violent or they're oppressed. You never listen to solve the problem. Remember that. If you skipping those spots, dead water, you fake it. Listen to the oppression, be it self-inflicted, be it real, be it fake. Listen to it. Then you see the aggression go down. And the gun never come out. Just because you follow the real steps of procedure of saving a life. Listen. So we got the facilities that we teach them. Before I wanted some young brothers, stand up and tell them what you're doing and how you help us fix these kids while they're coming in there. We got to count them at night.
First off, how you doing? My name is Austin Oliver. I'm a YDR. What I mean by YDR, in our facility, I work at Youth Service Center in Washington, D.C. YDR, Youth Development Representative. So when we chose that name, we wanted to kind of get away from the correction officer or police officer while we're in these facilities. So when they come in our facilities, they come to us, YDRs. We come to them at first. We want to make it like a home-like environment. So when you come in our facilities, you may see colors. When the girls, may have pink. When the boys, may have light blue. We don't have keys that's real loud where that can cause them to be traumatized. We don't have radios going across our chest where we actually calling for assistance or we're calling for extra help. I may be like a big brother. I may be like a father. I'm there to show love. I'm not there for the pay. I'm not even from Washington, D.C. But when I came, I came to give them the same love that I would give the residents that I had at the group home when I was in New Jersey. Living in Camden, New Jersey, where you see the good and the bad. So when I came to Washington, D.C., I brought my talents. They brought me here for a reason. They brought me here to speak. They brought me here to show love. In the facilities, I ask extra questions. How's it like at home? What extra help do you need? What type of job do you want? What do you want to be when you get out of here? What's your plan? When you're in these walls, is this the life you want to live? Is your life worthy of going behind a wall, 7 o'clock, being there, laying down, sleeping all day? Or are you going to sit there and realize and write everything down and realize, what am I going to do when I get out of here? What am I going to do to help the community? What am I going to do to help myself? Or what am I going to do to help my little brother and little sister? Or what about, can I make my mother proud? So this is everything that we have to teach. I don't go in there every day and sit down and give them lunch behind the door, give them breakfast behind the door, give them dinner behind the door, and don't offer extra resources. I didn't wrote resumes. I didn't help kids with resumes. I didn't went to certain neighborhoods in the city to talk to certain residents. I didn't gave my number to certain residents where they could call me at any time if they need any help. Because sometimes they may not be comfortable with going into their mother or their father. We have a lot of kids whose parents may be on drug addiction, may not be there. A quick little story, I had a kid that was 15 years old, he didn't even know how to brush his teeth. So you may have kids, they may laugh. You may have staff, they may laugh. But what I do as a YDR, I'll be a big brother. I show that kid the right way. You're doing a good job. I appreciate you. If you need anything, come talk to me. If you're not comfortable talking to me, you might feel comfortable talking to somebody else. But if you get that help, that'll make you grow as a person. I thank the Incredible Messenger for bringing me in. I sat on the pod last week. Someone came to me and said, I need you. They recommended you. So I feel like I'm here for a reason. I'm here to speak my word. I've been going there almost 4 years. And I'm going to continue to show my love.
Yes, that's it.
So anything I can do to help the kids, anything I can do to help them get out there. And like I said again, as I want to keep expressing, it's a home-like environment. They spend most of their time with us. They know they're going to be warm. They know they're going to be safe. They know they can get the guidance. I might not be nice all the time.
That's right.
I might not say the right things. I might go in there. I may be tired at times. They understand that. They may come to me and say, Wadi, oh, you all right? You had a long night. Your girlfriend kept you all night, up all night. They'll throw a little joke in there. But at the end of the day, they know I love them at the end of the day, and they just don't stop right here. When they get back in them communities, I'm still right there. They still can depend on me. It's such as the Incredible Messenger. So I'm glad that Tone, he brought me, and Director Clinton Lacy brought me, and they believed in me to come here and share my story of what I do with our youth. But just let us keep praying. Let us hold hands. Let us stick together. And I'm pretty sure God and Allah will see us through the way. Appreciate you.
Okay. So I also brought guests, right? So what's happening is this Facebook phenomenon. Dangerous. I used to have to do a lot of work to get my gang members in California to know what I wanted to do. Now I just click like Facebook, there he is, and a kid from El Salvador was sent to kill a kid in D.C. that's in the MSAT. Not even use the phone call. And none of us paying attention. So what I'm saying now, we through Facebook, we're using the same ammunition that our kids don't know what they're using it for. Us, what they call OGs and ex-gangsters, we started communicating on Facebook and putting pages up that fought the madness. So King Tone came out and started questioning the Kings. You calling the police and the government oppressive when you're the one shooting your own brothers? Oh, how could you say that on Facebook? Well, you say stupid stuff, I can say smart stuff. And you know what happens? Kids that were scared to say up, they hit night to the man who said the right thing. And I think 3 days I had 3,400 Latin Kings from around the world on my Facebook telling the Latin Kings that didn't want to change how stupid they were. I didn't have to argue, I just policed the page. And the member that can debate the right way, then I get involved because I'm the chief. I'm going to hit erase. You can get off the page because you don't got the capacity to debate in front of people without acting stupid. And one thing we all know, we ain't stupid. So I don't let my brothers or people. So I'm going to let first Brother Ephraim, could you real quickly share a little bit what y'all doing in Columbus, Ohio?
Sure. So, hello everyone, my name is Ephraim Lately. I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I lived there for 13 years. Professionally, I work for Fortune 25 company as a professional strategist and facilitator. Outside of that, my other full-time job is working with program End the Violence and JAG, the Justice Systems Group. And basically what we do there, we work with different levels of government, bring them together in a way that they don't actually do on their own around gun violence in particular. We also work with gang members. We work with the actual shooters, active drug dealers, active gang members, the people that a lot of organizations pretend that they're working with, but they couldn't point them out if they were standing right in front of them, honestly. Neither can law enforcement, but that's because you have to have people like the credible messengers that actually know the life, that actually know the people. In a lot of cases are family, kin to the folks that we work with. So effectively, we do a lot of work with bringing people together, whether it's institutionally, whether it's community-wise, whether it's in the underworld. We even have connections that we can reach folks through Sean Stevenson and others in prison. Unbeknownst to a lot of people, a lot of the things actually start in prison. Because you're in a controlled environment, they can communicate in and out, and they can actually navigate things from in prison. They did it before cell phones, they can certainly do it with cell phones. So we deal with things like that. We're able to actually nip things in the bud proactively before they actually get out. We can actually speak to some of those individuals and actually rehabilitate them while they're in prison. And with the influence that they do have that come out, and instead of violence coming out of prison, we actually have inspiration, we have hope. We have someone saying, you know what, don't do that, talk to OG over here, talk to Sean Stevenson, talk to Ephraim, and they'll get you on the right path. I'm also a property owner investor, so part of what I did before I met Sean was have guys in the community that came out and couldn't find jobs, have them do some of the demo work, and the ones that were willing, I would connect them with construction workers, with ABC, which is one of the unions that does construction work in Ohio, and have them learn different trades and skills. Because a lot of it is about economics. The education they didn't receive and the ability to have the skills to promote themselves and actually employ themselves, because they're trying to feed their children just the same. They're just doing it in the way that they know how. And they need food and supplies today, not 2 weeks from now, not 3 months from now. So that's what they turn to, and we acknowledge that. So that's some of the work that we're doing, and one of the things we did last year, 2016, in closing June 3rd, which was on a Saturday, the last day of school, or the day after the last day of school, we brought together, we brought King Tone, and Latin Kings. We had Tony Testa, who is the grandson of John Gotti, representing the 5 Italian families from the Italian mob. We had Ayatollah Marv. We had him come in representing the Bloods. LA is one of the founders. He's one of the founders. We had Sean Stevenson, Black Mafia. We had Mervin come from LA as well, from A-Trade, one of the founders of the Crips. We all of them come together for the first time in history in any way, shape, or form and speak peace. And they said basically the message was, if they can do it, you can do it. So in closing, again, my name is Ephraim Lately. Within the violence out of Columbus, Ohio. We're glad to be here as part of the credible message.
Everybody's good. Sean, stand up and tell them.
Class is open at 5:50.
All right, so guys, why don't you 3 stand up together, just together so they can see you?
No, I'm just saying you have time.
All right.
What time?
5:50.
6:05. Come on, right there. Come on.
The clock is running. Yeah.
All right, so so Sean, could you share how your story, how me and you met, and then what you're doing in Columbus, Ohio?
Mr. Individual Sean Stevenson, me and Tone met in federal penitentiary. I was serving a 20-year sentence. Close to Freeway Ricky Ross, that's my crime partner. Me and Tone used to walk the track and talk about what we're going to do to change the world when we get out. And a lot of people thought we was crazy, you know, because I used to tell Tone, man, we got it, we can do it. If Obama can do it, we can do it, you know. That's right. When he took his oath, I knew it was time for us to step up. So I unplugged the TVs and the TV rooms, which is the worst thing you can do in federal prisons, and told everybody, listen, we're going to change up some stuff. Got with Tone, he was running around the yard, talking to the homies, trying to get the homies to listen. I said, Tone, I got you. This is what we're going to do. And it was a vision. And I said, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to come home and make a big difference, man. And I started reaching out to my brothers, Mar, Melvin, Gotti's grandson, which is John and them are my partners. So I just started to connect everybody. And Tone said, we got it, man. We're going to walk through this because there's some things I can't do. I don't have patience for BS. So Tone said, I got you, man. So here we are today.
That's right. And listen, do you know how hard it is to fake like you're still the gang leader while you're talking that you're going to change the world with peace?
Yeah.
That's what happens to that 12-year-old that you put in your program as a blood, but never was a blood. But now when he goes to prison, the CO goes, oh, you're down with the Bloods, and he puts him there, and he's false labeled. He just put his life in danger. Just to get that in, that never comes off his record. So I told him, you ain't in the gang, right? No, don't mark that box. That's not their business. They don't ask you if you're Muslim or Christian.
That's right, Tom.
Don't mark the box. I'm just a human being. I was a Latin King, man. You know, that's my religion. Leave me alone. It doesn't make me bad or good. What I do makes me bad or good, not what I'm part of.
That's right.
I make the choice. Mel, could you share some of your story, please?
Hello, everybody. My name is Melvin, former River Life Ministry, Prison Ministry Coordinator. That's who I am now. But this is who I was before. And this is a testament to the credible messenger. Because we did in this group, cases 35 years. That's who I am now. Started off at age 13 in the criminal justice system as a Crip. I was around too at the age of 10. Raymond, Washington. I was arrested 37 times between the ages of 13 and 17 in this Crip thing. Now, when it comes to what we can do, we're trying to make this a national effort. I'm also the founder of a gang called H-Ray Gangster, which I founded at 45 years ago. And what that means in this world and this nation is the first time that it's ever been done where we extending our olive branch to the nation. Because what we doing here, ain't nobody we can't touch in the world. Because when it comes to Crips and inner city violence, we try to create leadership doesn't mean you're a gangster. I did 30 years in prison. Wrote a book called A New Slave Ship in 1997 in 2 hours off the top of my head that predicted mass incarceration of a nation. That's 20 years ago. I'm way ahead of the curve. I've been in this game since 1972. The first time I went to juvenile hall and they told me I was getting out in the morning and I cried all day. And I was getting out in the morning and was back the next week and did 30 years after that. So we address the criminal justice system. But what's more importantly is I endorse this movement and a credible messenger to the West Coast. So what that means is not only are we dealing with the criminal justice system because we enslave ourselves when we enslave, and when we come out, we enslave ourselves on the streets because I can't go in no direction. Go south, he goes west.
Say it.
4 blocks because
That's right.
We got everybody, this ain't about race.
Yep.
Let's look at this. We got every race in America that got a gang that would kill me because of the color of my skin. KKK, Mexican Mafia, MF, Latin Kings. See how we all here together talking? We can create dialogue that nobody can, so that's why it's important. Now, if we can step across this line, like Mr. Lacy did from a political standpoint, because a lot of time our voices are grounded by those that are representing us that are not really part of what they talk about. I don't need nobody to talk for me. He doesn't. And so we're not saying that as most of us, but we're trying to get it to where other people's voices that are silenced by the walls and silenced by society. Ain't that fair? So when we talk about credible messengers, we hear from LA where I can say half the Crips in the world, when I speak, Melvin Foreman speak, they might not do what I say, but I goddamn sure bet you they gonna listen. So that means you got half of it missed, right? So now if Melvin and us can go and make the other side of LA that don't get along with us, just come to the table and say, hey man, we got something for you. We're gonna work it out. Because we can go to Chicago, we got Fred Hampton. We here in New York. It don't matter. We exist everywhere. We ain't talking about race. We talking about safe passage. I heard you say something that hurt my ear, player.
Safe spaces.
Safe spaces.
We create
But in
safe
LA,
spaces.
we say safe passage. But the same language, different thing. So let's come together and have our voices heard, educate. Because I'm a firm believer that is education over incarceration. Because we got no prisons. I started off in prison at the age of 18. Right after George Jackson, Fleety Grove, Geronimo Pratt, I know all of them. Also, I know Charles Manson, the Hillside Strangler. I got 30 of my friends on death row that I grew up with. They right here, the first one to go down was Tookie. So this book's still up to date because I got 29 names left. And they're gonna start getting executed. So this is very important because when we go and address this senseless gun violence in America, we're not just talking about black on black crime, because it don't matter to me because I'm under attack by friends, family, foes, and those that are here to serve and protect you. So when you're dealing with murder, you're dealing with a sense of fairness. And when I look at it, was it justified? That's the word. Was it justified when you take a man's life? Or was it a fair bet when you lay the scale? If you put up, I put up $100, or you put up $100, you ain't gonna let me put up $80 and you put up your 100 without a problem. Same thing with life. If a man running, whether he running away from the police, as Walter Scott did, where that happened at? South Carolina. I don't see the police in blue and a man. All I see is a man running with his hands up. Got shot by a man that went and tried to hide it and said that was a taser and he thought he had him, got caught. That'd have been me and you did that. We ain't got life. We seen what he did. He didn't get nothing. They get monetary. But now I'm on the streets where I'm a gang member and I see another kid get walked up on. He said, where you from? And all he did was run the same thing Walter Scott did. Man shooting. That man charged with murder. That's not fair. So I look at all of them. That way race don't become involved. We just look at the facts. And the fact of the matter, and I'm gonna end this is probably the only chance when you can take this to the Pope, Trump, president. Because we are extending the olive branch from Los Angeles to the East Coast, to the West Coast, local, state, national, international, global. When we speak, we hear because we credibility because we hear as representatives from LA that when we go back and spread this, we're going to help this side.
That's right.
And the other sides be able to extend this program to where we can educate and get this message out. So that is what we're doing for y'all. We want to thank you for inviting us here, and I hope you guys join this movement and support us. And I endorse this Credible Messenger project, and we're going to try to do the best that we can to make it safe for not just anybody, but all children. There's no reason for, like in my neighborhood, to where it's been 5 Halloweens where I don't have candy out and not one kid candy.
Yeah.
Don't take the Halloween. That ain't right. Because they're scared of gunfire, kid can't trick or treat.
We gotta go to another neighborhood. Yeah.
No, we're gonna clean this one up.
You're right.
And then they don't have to. They can support our own, which is also gonna increase our economical empowerment, because now these entertainers and all these with money that don't want to invest in the community because we can't go 4 blocks to go over here and get a hamburger and gas. Now we got freedom to walk around to where we can support each other, and everything gonna fall in line. Once we learn to be kind to one another, and that goes back to the word love. When you come pure from the heart, you don't have to hesitate. You ain't heard me catch a breath yet, because I'm speaking from the heart. So you ain't got to do nothing but speak from the heart. I'm just going to give you the words that come out your mouth.
Yeah.
So God bless you. I'm very fortunate to where, you know, man can take your life. I got a 35-year life sentence plus a consecutive sentence for $2 worth of dope up under the 3 strikes law, one of the first. I'm the first to ever get out. And from that, that has led us to where this journey started from when them men said, don't forget about me, that are still in trap. So it's a journey to where we're trying to give back and get in freedom.
I'm Untitled Lamar. I'm from Compton, California. Oldest active Pyro gang member that we got in California. We're here with the Incredible Messengers to bring a message. I'm in a state that incarceration of children is a mandatory mechanism for the prison industry. In Compton, in 2012 to today, we had over 11,000 children committed to the youth authority system. Our city in Compton is 10 square miles. We had 11,000 kids go to prison. I'm not talking about 6 months. I got one of my little homies just went to prison, 16 years old, and the judge gave him 250 years. What part of the time can he do? So our system is different. So we had to come all the way here to get a myopic view of what justice should be for children, to take it back to Babylon to save our kids. Because in California, it's about the money, prison incarceration. In the last 15 years, we've had in the whole city of in the whole state of California, over 225,000 children went through the juvenile justice system. That's a hell of a drive-by. So in doing this, we are doing stuff right now that it's all about money in California. It's not about Black Lives Matter, Your Life Matter. It's about a check. So we took it upon ourselves by being invited by King Tom, Sean, that showed us another way that we probably could save our children and embrace them. And it's going to be a hard pill to swallow back there. But with Mr. Lacy and the political group that's going to put this pressure on these donkeys down here, we hope that we'll stop this in California, because I can't stand for my son to get 250 years, but he can. So that's our mission here, to look and learn. There's no way in heck we would be at UCA School of Law, UCLA, Stanford. They got them. You think they want to hear about, they want to talk about tort law. So I'm just saying that this is why we're here, and we hope, you know, that you can understand it, and by you saving your children, maybe you can help us save ours, because maybe one day y'all will be judged. maybe you'll be a prosecuting attorney and not just take the word. We got, you know, we call them public pretenders in California, not defenders. But how can a man with an 80 caseload do anything with a kid?
We got a name for him too.
You know, so it's a strain, but it takes, they say it takes a village. So it takes all of y'all to change the system. Thank you so much for your
I'm gonna be quick, but I'll give it to Judge Pratt, but this son, when me and Lacy was talking about this trip, incredible messenger going throughout healing communities and bonding trip, real crazy name, right? But we need to bond, right? So I go around and I teach Fortune 500 companies the 3 laws of innovation. They give me $4,000 to talk for an hour. I used to push kilos to make that. If I would have known that when I was 15, if I learned to read, I could do this. Right? Somebody taught me my talent. If it was the Marines or someone else that was recruiting in my town that said, the Kings, maybe I'll be a general or Fortune 500 company owner. It's fake. I just wasn't in Long Island or upstate, where I had a big playground and I had a safe space to be 12 or 13. So what I want you to know is we assembled this team and we brought them for one thing and one thing only, to learn from each other. My rule is you got to build a community. That's the first one, right? And what we got a community, how you build a community, you create and you self-empower yourself to help another with your experience and your love and knowledge. That was the law of our community before they broke it with the bullshit that they taught us. We used to judge each other, we used to love each other, then we used to rehabilitate each other. When it turned black and brown, it went from a social problem to a criminal problem, which led to all the money that we ever get going to the justice system to figure out how they're going to help us. We got to get the people back the money so they could empower and they could save us. And that's what we wanted to do with Credible Messengers. And really, I've been bragging about Hotspot. I've been bragging about Judge Pratt. I've been bragging about this team that empowered me and gave me a coordinator job for the first time, because nobody would hire King Tom. Shit, you crazy? I used to have like a meeting, they would hire me, but then I had to meet 2 cops, 2 commissioners, do this, so that program could hire me so they could see if I knew how to talk to cops. Oh, do you know how to dress? Do you know how to put a suit? No, because this is how I have to dress in my office. A suit don't work where I go. Don't judge me because the way I dress. I don't judge you the way you dress. This is my business office. This is how I dress. My wife looked at me, grow up. I said, I can't. They don't. And these people empower me. I remember once Judge Pratt came. This crazy, she get off the bench, close the court, and she came with us to the hotspot area where my office was to show every gangster in the hood, if you mess with Tone, he got Judge Pratt behind him. That's power, right? Black boy right behind me, I was like, yeah. Now I really got power. And that's what I want to say. They always say gangs got power, and we're one of the most powerless groups in the world. Because we're not cartels. We ain't in it for the money. We fighting Rutgers buying all South Orange, and we don't know where we're going, so we're killing each other, thinking where we going next. This is what we fight with. And imagine, I'm 51 and I have trouble with those ideas. Imagine you 13, your parents ain't home, and all you got is us. The blood, the Crips and the Kings holding you down while the world lets you down. Come on, help us bring them back to you. Stop lying to them. Be honest. When we can't help them, let's tell them we can't help them. And that's why I loved Hotspot, because we learned to be emergency room. Can you eat? Are you warm? Does somebody love you? The pants, the hat, the problems, the baby mama, forget about it. Just tell me if you're hungry. Then Cassandra Doc used to go to all the Dunkin' Donuts, because we didn't have Clinton Lacy money, so we couldn't get money for Crips and lunch. We knew where community services were struggling. We still didn't have desks. We used to share it with the other members. They used to move over and let us use their computer. People that don't know how to use computers. And we never argued. They never judged us. They accepted the new credible messenger running to 2B. You got warrants? The people like, yo, you gotta stand on line. I know Judge Pratt. Okay, what do you need? Fast track. He's sick. You want me to wait 6 months? He's gonna shoot somebody tomorrow. Oh, but you got time because you're going home. Until you read, the guy you didn't pay attention just killed somebody you love. Now you pay attention, right? Oh, we got a big problem. I just have to tell you people, we got people already who did it, so that's why I brought them here. Judge Pratt, thank you for all you've done. And she held me down with this team when I went through something in my life that was impossible. They never judged me, they held me down. Where it got me the opportunity to meet him again and to help Norman get a job. And to tell them, don't you quit on this better messenger. Who's telling you they can't give you money? King Tom, come and see you. You gotta defend these guys. You gotta defend Judge Pratt. You gotta be there for them. You sure call them when you're in trouble. When these politicians come pushing them around, we should be 2,000 deep in front of there. Yo, check it out, don't mess with them. Don't mess with them. So please, people, we're not saying we got all the answers. We're saying we keep continuing to look for more answers as they give us more problems. We can't fix it all, but we could be there for the ones that are falling so we could pick them up and teach them how to save someone else. And that's why Grow Up, Grow Out is believes. Grow up and grow out of the criminal thinking. But I'm never going to stop being King Tom. Come on. I invested almost 30 years in that. Right? So now tell the kid, I'm on the rey. Do you know that you could be a king and have a job? Ask Judge Pratt, one king, one day, run out the court, he was limping, he was shot with the dress, remember? And because we freed him, he started screaming, yeah, Judge Pratt, I'm going to go drink. And I said, don't say that in court.
Yeah. And he just got out of jail just not too long
Just got out, yeah. That was our team.
Ron just texted me.
And I'm just glad to end that, and then we'll have questions. Look at the team, that's you. I stole some of their ideas. And I stole some of Kill Violence from Chicago. And I stole some from Boston model. I steal from everybody.
And I stole yours.
Right? And we use it all to do what? Yeah. Save a life.
Save a life.
Y'all been stealing from us all your life, Justice Department. Don't get mad at me when I steal one from you. So remember, don't save one, save the whole gang.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
We're not in here to lose one. We're in here to save them all. And when we lose one, we get pissed off.
Yep, yes, it hurts.
And that's when we got a movement.
It hurts.
But if you're one of those, you know you can't save them all, fire him. He already failed. He's talking backwards to me.
Yep.
So please, stand up, Judge Pratt. You can come. Can we have questions? I don't know how much time we got, but we love you. Thank you, Rutgers. Thank you for having us and giving us the opportunity to present the Credible Messenger series to you. So